So we've got the next thing coming up for Project 2, and I'm just about through everybody's submission. I think I got Brett's and Aaron's yet to look at for was it finding financial information. You'll see I'm getting a little pickier, and I will get pickier as this project goes on, because this is starting now is kind of where the rubber meets the road, where I really want you guys to put some effort into this. I know everybody wants to procrastinate this and wait and write your report, in the last week when it's actually due and la-da-da. That's kind of why I've broken this up, because I'm trying to tell you don't do that, okay? So your next part of this is to do an outline, and never used to require this, but like I said, I kind of got so many papers I didn't find that acceptable that I said, maybe I can break this up a little bit more, and at least I can get people kind of starting to look a little earlier at their companies and trying to find information that's going to be in their paper, right? That's going to be suitable and fit in their paper and make it kind of more interesting for me to read. I was amazed at how many people didn't know how to do an outline. So let's start with the basics. Okay, and this should be in your deal, but if you bring up, here's the easiest way. If you bring up Word blank like this, okay, and you can put a heading on there, something like that. But if I hit Shift and I and a period and then my space, okay, start typing, I hit Enter, takes me to 2. If I hit my tab, it takes me to the next level. Okay, type. Now I need to go back and start another big. I need to be 2i, right? Or I2 or whatever the heck you want to call that. Hit my Shift and my Tab key. Okay, that makes it go back. Shift and Tab makes you go back then. Boom. Okay. Hit Tab again. I want to go out to A. I want to go below there, right? I don't know if I have to put stuff in here or not, but I am. Okay, I can keep making it go further. Now, if I don't like the spacing, I just wait till you get all done if you want to space it, and I kind of appreciate it if it's spaced out a little bit more. Just come up here after you're done and say, I want it there. Okay, that's the easiest basic way to create an outline, right? Okay, easiest and most basic way I found. You can come up here, and you can design different types of ones if you want to get fancier or something. Okay, that's up to you. It doesn't need to be any fancier. I'm more interested in the content, but I do want you to kind of understand how to build one and the proper way to do that. Now, let me tell you, there are some elements that are required, and if you look at the overall assignment, I got to go find that for sure. Okay. Every paper is going to have a proper introduction and a proper conclusion. I'm going to emphasize this. It seems like as much as I emphasize this every semester, I'm deducting lots of points because I'm not getting a proper introduction and a proper conclusion. Maybe it's just my opinion about what's proper, but I don't know. It's, I guess from writing assignments I've had in the past, it seems to be what needs to be in there. A proper introduction is going to properly introduce or summarize each of the required elements of the paper. Okay. It need not be a lengthy summary, right? A sentence will do, right? I'm going to talk about the history of the company, the industry in which it competes. I forget, what's my requirements here? And then a thorough financial review. Boom. Okay, there's something else in there I can't remember. I'll get to that, right? So you summarize those, you put it in a sentence, and I'm a fairly happy camper. I don't take off any points, but I don't know how often I read a paper, even after I've said it in this assignment, which is the outline. Then you're going to write the introduction and the conclusion, and I might emphasize again, if you haven't done it, that you need to do that. And then I get the final paper sometimes, and it's not in there again. So, okay, the easiest way to lose points is just forget to put those things in there. Conclusion's the same thing. You summarize those facts again. You say, I've told you about, okay. Now, in the conclusion, you guys are also, part of the requirement here is that you have to arrive at a recommendation. Okay, buy, sell, or maybe hold your company's stock. Okay, I don't care what the recommendation is. I think I told you when I did a similar assignment in my master's program, I absolutely recommended that I sell the stock. I actually owned it, and I did sell it, and thank God the company actually went broke about 2 years later. So I was pretty happy for that assignment, actually. So, yeah. So you got to make that kind of a recommendation. What it is, what your recommendation is, I don't care, other than it should be supported by the stuff that's in your paper, right? Okay. So when you do your outline, make sure it has those things in there, or else you're going to get a deduction, and I'm going to write a little note that says you need to include these things, right? Okay. So what are the? I got to go back and figure. You got to tell me a little bit about the history of the company. Okay. That should only be a paragraph. It doesn't have to be consuming, right? This is a business finance class. I want you to devote, you got 5 pages here, okay? 3 pages of that should be devoted to the financials, right? So you got about 2 pages to give me an introduction, give me a conclusion, give me a paragraph about the history of the company. I just want a little background, right? I want to understand where this company came from, how it was developed, maybe when it went public, some important events that you see there. That should be in your outline, right? Okay, outline. Item 1 is introduction. Item 2, 2I or whatever, is history of the company. Okay, boom. Started in 1914, for Hog or something like that, right? Went public in 1956. Bought out by so-and-so. Acquired so-and-so, a few things like that, right? Okay, so you add some important things. If you overdo it, I'd rather see you overdo it here in the outline, right? Maybe you get a little too much stuff in there, and I'm kind of marking some things off and say, that may not be important for the final paper. That's fine. I'm not going to deduct points for that. I'm just going to say, you might not want that in the final paper, because I want you to devote most of your time in that final paper, most of the space, I should say, to the financials. You're going to tell me a little bit about the industry that your company competes in. Okay, it competes in the I'll pick on Nike, right? That's an easy one. The apparel, right? Shoes and apparel, athletic shoes and apparel, maybe. Okay, maybe more specifically. Okay. And how specific you are with that, it might depend on your company, right? I would say Nike's fairly specific, athletic, shoes and apparel, right? Okay. Are there some other major competitors in that space? Well, yeah, right? You got Adidas, which has done really well actually lately, Under Armour, which has done pretty good. Doesn't hurt to mention them, okay? I think I asked you to tell me the position your company holds in that industry. Nike's the leader. Pretty sure, just as an example, right? Don't just tell me. You might have to show me. Nike sales are $70-some billion a year. The next closest is $40 billion, whatever the case may be, right? It's nice to demonstrate it a little bit, not just say they're the leader. Okay, so do a little bit of research into that. History, industry in which it competes. Dang, there's something else. Got to come down here and look at it. What's the other one? Anybody got that called up? Fine. The strategy, thank you. Gosh, see what happens when you get old, you start forgetting things like that. So just, again, a basic idea of what the company strategy is. Now, I kind of tend to believe that there's really 2 strategies. You might throw in a third. Okay? There is differentiation. Does Nike differentiate, or are they one of the other strategies is low-cost provider? What's Nike? They sell $200 basketball shoes down here at Master Sports that they probably make for, have made over in Indonesia for $19.95. Are they a low-cost provider, or are they a differentiator? They're a differentiator. Okay. So you think about that in basic terms, and then you expand on that a little bit. They're going to have a more nuanced and complicated discussion about that in their annual reports. Okay, but I think if I were you, I'd focus on the company. What's Walmart? Low cost. always the low price. They got that on signs all over the store, I think. I don't hardly ever go to Walmart, but I think they have that on signs all over the store, right? Okay, so take a look at your company, kind of have an idea, right? What's Costco? Differentiator or I would say there's no such thing as both. Then we get into what's called the sofa bed, right? It's not a good sofa, it's not a good bed, and so it's kind of that's kind of an old saying about that. Yeah, I would say they're low cost. It's interesting. I should call them up. We'll look at it. Maybe I will on Wednesday, but because I'm getting a little long-winded here, but. Everything in their store sales for I had you guys look up gross profit, right? And I checked on Costco's just to make sure everything in their store sales for 13% gross profit. Everything. Okay? And you guys look up Costco if you want to. COST is the thing. You look it up under FINRA and you look in their gross profit line. Now, I'm not going to tell you it's 13% exactly, but it doesn't vary more than 2/100ths. I think 12.98 was the furthest off I could see it. So, and every year for 5 years, I think once or twice it was 13% exactly. 1 year it was 13.01, and 1 year 12.99, and 1 year 12.98. So 13%. That's their strategy, right? That's not their strategy. Their strategy is low cost, but that is a part of their strategy, right? So you'd put that in there, okay? Then the important part is the financial discussion, right? Okay, so that's, I want to see that in your outline too. Okay, I got the history, boom, a couple little subpoints. I got the strategy, boom, a couple little subpoints. Industry in which it competes, few little subpoints. Finance, give me a bunch, okay? Let me know where you're going with your paper, okay? You don't know yet, right? You're all confused. Stick your hand up in the air and ask, right? Where should I take this, okay? Let's try to figure it out together. Let's take a look at it. Come in and see me. Just whether you leave it in the outline or not, it's not going to, it doesn't matter if you add something to the final paper that you didn't have in the outline. That's fine if you end up finding that it's pertinent. But it's sure nice for me to give you some feedback at this point in time, whether I think you're heading in the right direction or not. Okay. I probably will over each class. I might even pick some of your guys' companies and come up and put them up here and say, look what happened. Hogg's debt, which is Harley Davidson's debt, 5 years ago jumped up $1 billion in 1 year, which for Hogg was quite a bit. It stayed level since then. Well, what happened 5 years ago? That might be important. Might be cool to go back and find out. I don't know. Okay, did they need to borrow some money for some reason or another? I don't know. But those are the things I really want you looking for, significant events. You'll find a lot of those just in the basic financial statements and whatnot that I've showed you under FINRA. Okay, you take a look at that FINRA, but you're not going to know the answers to it. It's just going to show you the numbers till you get to the annual reports, in particular for those years, and you go back to the management's discussion of financial analysis, something like that, okay, and you read about it. Okay, they're going to have it broken down, and they're going to talk about that in their annual report. And that's going to tell you why that happened, what the reason was, those types of things. Okay, there may have been some mergers, there may have been some acquisitions, there may have been some sell-offs. A lot of you are going to find things that happened with the tax change. Okay, and we should discuss those. But our ultimate discussion may be, well, that happened because the tax law changed, right? Okay. Some of them get to be really, there were some we looked up, and you guys might have some of those. It was mainly like Caterpillar, I'll bet you'll have it. The car manufacturers had its tax. Oh, heck, how's that work? It'd take me a while to explain it, but there's different reporting requirements for the SEC, Securities and Exchange Commission, which is all the stuff you and I look at, and the IRS. Okay, and it has to do with your recognition of losses. When they build cars, they know that 5 or 10% of those cars are going to be recalled. Okay, they know that. The SEC requires them to report that. The IRS doesn't allow them to take that loss, though, until the actual loss occurs. So you've got these differing deals, okay, and then when they changed the tax law, it created tax gains that they were anticipating went away, okay? Because in the past, you'd be able to write off in the future those recalls, and all of a sudden now you'll get to write them off in the future, but that write-off's only worth 20% instead of being worth 35%. And so it just, and it really, a lot of you guys, some of you guys anyhow, you're going to find that out. It probably didn't affect Nike too much. It probably affected Harley Davidson. It probably affected Caterpillar, okay, and some of those that have those types of things that would arise. So you might see that. We might have to dig into it a little more detail. I'm not sure. We could spend a whole semester probably talking about the differences in the tax law changes, and so we want to look at it and see it and figure it out. But we don't necessarily want to spend, a whole semester worried about it. So find some of those things and ask me about it. What do you think? What happened here? Well, let's go take a look. I get into that. I really do. I enjoy the heck out of it. When I figured out that tax thing, it took me 2 or 3 days. I'm researching. What the hell happened? I finally kind of figured it out, got my arms wrapped around it. It was kind of cool. I said, yeah, that's kind of neat. So I like to learn stuff too. So if you guys find something like that I get a chance to learn, I just love it. So okay, and then of course you're going to have your conclusion. That'll be it, right? Okay. So make sure all those things are in your outline. Make sure that your introduction tells me what you're going to tell me. It's the old thing. Tell me what you're going to tell me. Tell me what you told me. Keep that in mind as you're doing your outline. Keep that in mind as you're doing the paper, on and on and on, and you'll write a little better paper, a lot better paper just because of that. So okay, quick quiz for those of you that were here Friday. This is your double down. Okay, you're going to get extra bonus points. If you weren't here on Friday, you're probably not going to know the answer for these. Just small piece of paper. Yep, small piece of paper. It won't be on Excel. Just a little piece of paper. And if you weren't here on Friday, you might hold off on pulling out some paper because I don't know that you might know.
So when we're looking in the annual report, where will we find where tax is explained, like the tax law terms?
I'll come around. We'll take a look at that. So, or else we'll be looking at some of them in the future. But I'll come around if you want to look at yours specifically. We'll do it. So, okay. So, if an investment is earning an average of 8% each year, year after year after year, how many years will it take for that investment to double in value? If an investment is earning 8%, okay, average annual return, compounded, how many years will it take for that investment to double? Second question. If in 12 years an investment doubles, what's the average annual compounded interest rate for that investment? 12 years. Trying to make the math pretty easy here. Okay, I'm going to shut this off and let you guys get to work here a little bit. I took